Hey everybody, this is John and Jackie of OpenLove101.com, and today we're going to talk to you about a question we get from people that are curious, new to the lifestyle, wondering what it's like when they're going to go to a swingers club for the first time, if we have any suggestions for them. And we do, since we own swingers clubs. We now have Dallas, New Orleans, and we just opened one recently in Houston.
Yeah.
And so we hear all the times from couples that come in about their experience, whether they're, people writing us before they go, and also people that have come for the first time and share their experiences with us afterwards. And I think the two biggest things that we're going to talk about today are expectations of what you think are going to happen at the club, and setting boundaries for each other.
Right. And
the number one thing I tell people when they say, so give me some advice on my first time ever going to a swingers club. And these are people that have never done anything in the lifestyle other than maybe have fantasy talk about it at home.
Right. So they're branching out. They're gonna take it to the next level. They're gonna actually step foot in the swingers club. And it is interesting how that can really cause a lot of trepidation in people, because they can sometimes have images of what they think is going to happen in a swingers club.
Well, you had them the first time you ever went to a swingers club.
I'm telling you, I did. I really had a lot of negative images running around in my head about what was going to happen. That whole, 1970s key swapping, I was going to go in and just be offered up to anybody and everybody, and I wasn't going to have any say. I just didn't understand how a swingers club worked and what it entailed. So there is some fear going into it. And I love it when they reach out and say, please give us kind of a peek inside of what we're going to be experiencing.
And it's not anything like Jackie envisioned.
No.
It's quite the opposite.
It is.
And so, but the expectations that people normally have when they go in there, they'll have a fantasy in mind, like they want to meet a single girl. That's probably the number one fantasy most couples have when they come out, and it doesn't pan out. And if you set that expectation of as a man, for instance, so I'm going to go in there with my wife, and we're going to meet 3 or 4 single women and have this big orgy. It's going to be me and all these girls, and it doesn't come out that way, you're going to have some letdown. And if you can just brush it off and say, well, it's not for us because it didn't happen. So I really encourage people to come in and not have those type of expectations. If you just go in there with knowing that you're going to meet other couples, potentially single people, and have a good time, just like you would at a nightclub. I can't remember ever going to a nightclub and having all these expectations and then leaving there feeling deflated. Maybe going there and there's no one in there and I felt a little bit deflated because I went in the club, but for the most part, I just went out there and I just had a good time or I didn't, but it didn't stop me if I didn't have a good time from going back again.
Right.
Sometimes in our lifestyle, I think it does. It will make the lifestyle seem like it's not for me because we didn't have a good time. We tried it one night, we didn't have a good time. And that's because of expectations they'd set prior to going out. And I think it's important not to set those. Just have fun together. Because that's really what you're doing. You're going on a date with your beautiful wife. Right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Being in a swinging relationship, at the end of the day, it's about enhancing your relationship. It's about strengthening those bonds that you have with each other. It's about building each other up. And a swingers club is a great way to do something together, with your partner that's maybe a little outside of just getting together with another couple at their home or, something like that. It gives you a little different atmosphere and can open up a lot of doors to a lot of other swingers in the lifestyle, and can be a great way to spend an evening. But like John said, that really should be the premise of when you go to these clubs. It's just to enjoy yourself and your partner, and if something progresses after that, then it's going to be a successful evening anyway.
And if something does progress, if it does end up going to the next level, it's important to have some type of a boundary set between each other. I have seen couples come in without any kind of boundaries, not really talking about it enough. Maybe they just were at dinner and out of the blue said, hey, let's go to the swingers club. And then they're approached and, the woman in the partnership is, maybe a guy's getting too friendly with her and it causes some jealousy to sit in. They haven't talked about these things.
Right.
And so then it can cause tension between the couples.
Yeah, and when we talk about boundaries, that what we're talking about is having that conversation beforehand and saying, what are we prepared to do? What are we not prepared to do? Another piece of advice that I give people that are new to the swinging environment in the swinger clubs is to kind of have a trial night, where you go in that maybe you really don't interact with anybody, that you just kind of sit back and kind of watch and see, because for a lot of people, if this is the first time they're in there in a club, they're not going to have anything to base it off of. So they're not even going to know what they're going to be prepared to handle and what they're not going to be prepared to handle. So, you have your practice night, and then, you learn from there, and it gives you a great stepping off point to then start saying, okay, it's okay if you talk to this person, or if it's okay if you want to hug this person,
or kiss, or talk about, using protection. Maybe you just want to go in there and just have, be in a bed next to another couple that's in another bed, but not touch each other. All these kind of things you can talk about. And then have the option of pushing the boundaries. For instance, if you say we're not going to kiss, maybe she says, yeah, I don't mind kissing. And I say, yeah, I'm not really comfortable with that yet. But then we get in the situation and I see her, I feel more comfortable. I say, Jackie, go ahead. You can, let's try it. Let's see what happens. So it comes down to communicating with your partner, finding a way to communicate that person how you're feeling at that moment. The other thing is, if you do set some boundaries and say kissing was not one of those boundaries, it's okay to kiss, but you're uncomfortable with it, it's okay too to tell your partner, hey, listen, I decided I'm not really comfortable with that yet. Let's talk about that afterwards. Right. And to really, when you go in, one of the most important boundaries is to say to each other, please tell me if something's going on that's making you feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And we'll talk about it later. We'll stop it, but we can talk about it later. I think I see that help so many couples get through the night. And it turns out to be a great night after that. It's
so important to honor your partner. I mean, we can't stress that enough. If something's bothering your partner, you need to be empathetic to that, just like you would want them to be for you. So, again, like I said earlier, this is about enhancing your relationship. This is about bringing you closer. Mm-hmm. And so the way to do that is to have that honor for each other.
Yes, absolutely. So I hope you got something out of this video, and please sign up for our email list at openlove101.com, and we'll send you a weekly email updating you with our blogs and videos.
See ya.